Hello everyone and welcome to this new Unreal Engine C++ tutorial. In this series, we will be learning how to create a hyper-casual basketball game. In this game, we have two game modes, one which has a time limit and the other has no time limit. So if we try the no time limit, the goal here is to score as many points as we can before we, miss. Okay, so to shoot, we have to click on the ball and drag it in the direction we want. And as you can see, when I miss, I lose. Okay. Also, when we reach a certain number of points, the hoop starts moving to make it harder for the player. Okay. And the second game mode is time. We have to reach this target before the timer runs out. And each time we reach the target, the new target will slightly increase to make it more difficult and challenging for the player. So right now it's 10. Next, it's 30. You see, it increases by more than 10. It increases, well, you will see how it increases while we go through it step by step. So, let's learn how to create this awesome game. So, the first thing we need to do is to create our project. So, let's go to Games, choose Blank, and go to Project Defaults C++, Target Platform Mobile, and Quality Presets Scalable. Let's call it Basketball Tutorial. And let's create our project. Now that our project is created, the first thing we want to do is to go to our content drawer and start creating some folders that we need. So first one is maps, then blueprints. Let's call this one assets. What else? Materials. For now, that's it. And let's change this map. So file, new level, empty level, create. And let's save it into maps. And let's call it unlimited time map. So this map will be for the unlimited time game mode. Then let's go to edit, project settings. Let's look for orientation. And we want it portrait. Okay. And we also want use mouse for touch. We want to enable this. Then we need to change the orientation for the new viewport to portrait and always center it in the middle. And change this here to a new editor window, like so. And last thing before we start coding is to go to settings here, top right corner, go to preview platform and Android OpenGL mobile. This will show us how the game will look like on mobile. Okay, so let's start by creating our first class. Let's go to tools, new C++ class, and let's say, or before we create our class, let's import our hoop. Okay, so let's go to let's go to Sketchfab and look for basketball net. Okay, and click on this one. I will leave a link in the description. So if you click download here, you will see that it doesn't have any format that Unreal supports. So that's fine. Let's just download the OBJ. Okay, and after we download it, we need to convert it to FBX. So after you download it, make sure to extract the files, and then I will also leave a link in the description for the website that will convert our OBJ to FBX. So make sure you go to this website here and you select your file. So after you select your file, just wait a little bit. Okay, now our model is ready to download. It's converted. So just click download here. Okay, and after you download it, let's go and import the file by clicking on import here. Okay, when you get this, click advanced and make sure combine meshes is not ticked. This should be false. Okay, and click import all. Okay, after it's imported, we want this net, we don't want it. We want to make it without a net, so delete it. And what we want is to click on all of these and drag them all into our scene. After, we want to go to actor, search for merge actor, and click merge. Okay, and let's set its folder here. Let's call it hoop sm underscore hoop static mesh hoop. Okay, there it is. And now we can delete all of this. We don't need it anymore. And delete here too. Now we want to create our material. So let's go to materials and create a new material. Let's call it base color underscore m. Let's change the shading model to unlit. And let's create a vector parameter. Let's call it color. And multiply. And let's connect it to emissive. And here we need a scalar parameter. Let's call it emissive. Okay, a shortcut for a scalar parameter is to hold S on your keyboard and click anywhere here on the graph, like this. Okay, so let's make this 1 and change the color to white. Next, we want to create material instance based on this. Let's call this one orange color. Go here, change the color to orange, like this maybe, and emissive to 0.5. Now let's go back to our asset here and let's change this. No, not this one. So this one is white. This one is, no, not this one. This one is orange. Okay. And for this one, we need a texture. And this texture comes with the mesh when we download it. So let's go back to our materials and create a new one. Let's call it textures base underscore m. Also unlit. Texture sample texture. Converted to parameter. Let's call it texture. Okay, connected to multiply also, and scalar emissive to control how emissive the color is. Now let's import our texture, create a new folder, call it textures, and import. So after importing the texture, we want to go here back to the material and select the texture. And now if we go here, set this. Okay, nice. Now let's create our first class. So tools, new C++ class, actor, let's call it hoop. Okay, create class. Now that our actor is created, first we need to create a static mesh. So let's go here, new property, edit defaults only, category equal components, new static mesh component. Let's call it hoop mesh. Okay, let's change this to false, we don't need it. And then here, hoop mesh is equal create default subobject. view static mesh component, and let's call it um, hoop mesh. Okay, and the root component is this mesh. So root component equal hoop mesh, and we want it movable. Hoop mesh is set mobility component mobility movable, because later we want to add a projectile movement so it goes right and left. And that's it for now. Let's go to our editor, compile our code, and let's create a blueprint based on this. Let's call it hoop underscore bp. Okay, nice. Now let's drag it into our world, and here it is. Let's make it at 0. Okay, awesome. But now, if we start our game, well, we don't like the camera is not here. It's not like this, right? So if you start like this, it will be like this, and if you start like this, so depending on how our camera and the editor is, that's how it starts. So let's go and change that. Let's go to here and add a camera actor. Okay, let's rotate it like this. Or you know what? Let's keep the camera 0 and let's rotate this one actually like this. And let's set the camera back like so. Okay, and we need to set our view from this camera. How to do it? Well, we do it in the player controller class. So let's create a new C++ class, player controller. Let's call it basketball player controller. Okay, our player controller is created. So let's go here and let's create a constructor, basketball player controller. Okay, and let's virtual void begin play. Let's override it. Okay, let's create a basketball player controller, a basketball player controller. Um, I'm not sure why. Oh, typo here. Basketball. Nice. Okay. First, we want to show mouse cursor always because you are using an F touch. Then we want to enable touch events. So enable touch events also true. And let's override the begin play. Okay. Now we still need to get a reference to this camera, and then we set the view from it. But Let's create a game mode now. Let's go and create the game mode. So search for game mode base. Let's call it parent game mode. So this parent game mode will be responsible for shared functionalities between the two game modes we will be having. So later on, we will be creating childs from this. We will be creating children from this parent game mode, these children will inherit the everything in this. Also, we can override them later if we need to. So let's create the parent game mode now. Okay, let's go here and create a constructor, a parent game mode. And in here in the private, we want a reference to the camera. So a camera actor, camera equal null pointer. But first, let's define the camera here so we don't get an error. So class a camera actor. Also, inside our protected, we want a variable for the player controller. Nice. Okay. And we want to override begin play. Now in the constructor, we want to set the default pawn class is equal to null, and let's include here the player controller header, and player controller class is equal to the player, our custom player controller. Okay, now override the virtual begin play function. In case you don't know, this super calls the parent function of this because you are overriding it, right? So this calls the parent function of the game mode, of in our case game mode base, because that's the parent class of our game mode. So in here, let's first go also here and create a word. So here word is equal to get word. So we are storing the word inside a variable instead of every time calling this function. We just do it once in the gameplay and then use the reference later. So if we got the word, it's valid. Camera is equal to cast a camera actor. Let's include some headers first, like gameplay statics and camera actor. Okay, view gameplay statics, get actor of class, and the word context object is word, and the class is camera actor static class. Okay, so if we got this camera, so this is our only camera in the world. Okay, and since it's the only camera, this line here will get this camera only. If you have many cameras, well, and you need to get specific one, maybe you can use get actor of class with tag, or get all actors of class, then iterate through them all to get this camera. But now we only have this one camera, so the get actor of class works fine. Okay, so if camera Now the player controller is equal. Okay, so now we need to get a reference to our player controller, and we will need to get a reference not only here, but later on in the future, we need to get also a reference to the player controller. So instead of writing the same code every time to get the reference, we can do it just once and later on use it in different classes. So to do that, we need a functions library that we can use through all the throughout all the classes. So let's go here and create a new class. Let's search for functions or function library. This one, blueprint function library. Click next. Let's call it functions library. Okay. Um, we got an error here because we forgot most probably to erase it here, bracket, sorry. So it doesn't matter. Where is it? Yeah, it's here because it's no problem. Let's go in our function library class, and inside the public, let's create a static a layer controller get layer controller word context object. So this function returns a player controller type. Okay, let's create a definition for it, and in here we want to get our current player controller inside our word context object. Okay, so first we need to check if there is no word context object. We return null ptr, then return let's include u gameplay statics get player controller, and the word context object is word context object, and player index is, well, 0, obviously. Great. Now let's close it. Let's go back here and include the header for the functions library. And to use it, we simply type u functions library. Okay, and we call our get player controller, and the word context object is this word here. Okay, now if we got it, if it's valid, so if it's player controller set view. Oh, we need include no, we have already included here, so we don't, because I have a capital L here. Set view target with blend. The new target is camera. Simply, that's simple. Let's go here and compile. This should work. First, we need also go to project settings and set our game mode to parent game mode. Now it should work. Yeah, it's working, but it's very far. So um, um, actually, I think that's because of constrained aspect ratio. So if we unclick it, that's right now, yeah, it's better. That's nice. But I think it's low a little, so let's make this go up a little bit, like 40. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. Now we want to create our ball class. So let's go to tools, actor. Let's call it ball. Okay. I already created it. Um, okay. Once you created the ball class, we need to create a mesh for it. So as usual, let's go here. Let's call it ball mesh. And in here, let's say change this to false. Ball mesh is equal to create default. Okay, we want to make it the root component. And what else? We want the physics. So ball mesh set simulate physics true. And we need to set notify ball mesh. Well, notify rigid body collision true. This will enable the hit events for the ball. We also want to set collision profile name, and the name is physics actor. I believe that's the name, physics actor. Okay, this should be it for now. Let's compile. Let's create a blueprint. And for the mesh, we want to import from Fab. So if you don't have this button here, go to Edit, Plugins, and look for Fab, and make sure this plugin is enabled. Okay, so let's go to Fab. Let's search for basketball, gas, and price free. Now the ball we are using is um, this one, I guess. Yeah, it's this one. Um, no, not this one. Sorry, it's this one here. Okay, yeah, this one. So basketball and add it to project. Okay, once it's added to the project, where is it? Fab. Just take this, drag it into our asset folder. Save everything first. Yeah, it's empty because we forgot to save first. We need to save. So just drag it again after we save into assets. Okay, delete this fab. We don't need it. Great. Now delete these two because we already have our base material. Go to materials and create an instance of this. Let's call it black color. and make it black. Now here in our ball, let's set this material to orange and the lines to black and the mesh here to the ball. Okay, now let's make a cube for the ground. Okay, so let's give it 10. Okay, 0.75, 1.5, mm, 0, maybe like this. And let's change this color. Let's go here and duplicate this instance. Let's call it blue color. Okay, close, reset it. And let's drag our ball here, our blueprint. And you can see it's very big. So let's go here and scale it down a little. Maybe 0.3. Yeah, sounds nice. Let's attach the ball to our ground. Let's call this ground. And the reason we are attaching it, because after we do it, let's reset the location to 0. So it's 0 out on everything. So it's in the middle of this cube. Then we drag up this a little, and on your keyboard, press the end button. Okay, the end button will take this, whatever you have selected, and it will take it down to the first collision, of the first hit collision it finds. So if you press end now, it will take us right to the ground. Okay, as you can see. Okay, now if we start our game, well, it does nothing now, but at least we have our fundamentals. Okay, I think that's it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we will create our swipe mechanism and to launch the ball in the swipe direction. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.